me just do this. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our live show. My name is Eric Mitchell. I am your host, and this is Starlight Beacon Transmissions, episode 85. This is once again our live show. We are back after a small hiatus. And tonight we have a fun show for you. But before we get to our topics, tonight, making her triumphant return to the show, we have our good friend Jane, all the way from frigid Chicago.
hmm
Uh,
Actually, Ohio right now, but
oh,
yes.
yeah.
hmm But
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, happy to be back. Super happy, excited, and so excited that my camera does not want to focus on me very well.
Well, I mean, it's excited too.
Yeah,
So,
of
you
course.
know, yeah.
Mhm.
But tonight we have a fun show for you. We are going to be talking about. I'm going to share some thoughts on Farpoint convention from last week. We're going to talk some Star Wars news, and then we are going to dive into a preview of the Disney 100 exhibit that just opened today, actually, at the Franklin Institute in Philadelphia, and that is actually running to August, and then from there it actually goes to Chicago.
Oh, ooh, I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
check it out when it comes then.
Yeah. So we're actually going next week, but we will get to that here in just a few minutes. um let's get through a couple of announcements, and then I'm going to share some thoughts on Farpoint, and then we'll get into the news. And then I've also got some goodies here to show off as well. So, real quick for the announcements, uh, possibly going to have a show next week. It depends on the hotel Wi-Fi in Philadelphia, because you know how it is. Like, hotel Wi-Fi is hit or miss
hmm
at times. So we have that. Starting in March, we are going to be launching a March Madness style tournament to determine what the best ride is at Disney World. We will not be including Cosmic Rewind because I haven't ridden it.
Oh, sure.
um, but like rides like Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, Flight of Passage,
hmm
all of those fun ones. You know what? I might throw in Guardians because I know enough people have ridden that one. Um,
Yeah,
we just won't include Tron Light Cycle Run because it isn't open till the public yet.
that's
I
too
know
new.
that,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's too fresh.
and I know that they're doing cast member previews and like media previews and stuff, but until we actually get people that have ridden it,
hmm
I don't want to include it. So there's that. And then I am working on some more transmission bursts for all of your listening needs so that you can hear me and all that fun stuff in your ears. So I had this towards the end of the news, but I'm going to talk about this real quick, and then I'm going to showcase some goodies here that I have with me, and then we'll get into the news. But last weekend there was no live show because we were at Farpoint up in Hunt Valley, and I got to tell you, like, this show was so much fun. It is a small con. I think they might have had what, maybe 2,500 guests. Or you think so? Oh, is okay. So
Wow,
they might have had about 1,000 people there,
that is.
maybe. And it's at this wonderful hotel in northern Baltimore County, and it was so cool. So Farpoint actually started out as a Star Trek convention, because it's based on Encounter at Farpoint, which is the pilot episode of Next Generation.
Okay.
And I know, like, people are like, "Why are you talking about Star Trek on a Star Wars podcast?"
How dare you?
I know. How dare I showcase other fandoms?
Awful.
Um, so uh, so like, there's a lot of heavy Star Trek stuff. However, I will say this: they do a great job at balancing the Star Trek with Star Wars content. They had Lord of the Rings stuff. They had there was a discussion about 90s television shows
Mhm,
for kids. So they had like all of these awesome things.
mhm.
Go ahead.
So is it like kind of like it's a Star Trek focused convention, but it's kind of like a normal like convention, like Comic Con kind of style thing, like at the same time, like they do a little bit of everything too.
Yeah.
Okay,
They don't have much in the way of like comics,
okay.
but that's okay because like they still had like an artist like kind of like a semi artist alley and
Mhm.
stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what I mean by like Comic
Yeah.
Con. Like I don't know what the other word would be for like just convention, like nerdy convention with all your fun
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Um and so like they had enough to balance it out. Like they even had podcasters talking about like how to get into podcasting and stuff. So
Mhm.
that was really cool. And then there was Brian Kaiser Tillman who does a lot of game design and he does like a lot of comic book stuff. He was there and he had a panel one day that was about pitching and promoting yourself,
Mhm.
which I thought was really interesting as well. But this year's guest was Wilson Cruz from Star Trek Discovery. He's the doctor on the show, and he's great. I met him at AwesomeCon last year, and he was so much fun then. And we saw him at Farpoint this year, and he was just as much fun. So they had him. They had Riley Alizraki, who is one of the characters on Star Trek Prodigy, which is the animated series that has Kate Mulgrew as Catherine Janeway in that as well. Think of that as Clone Wars for Star Trek.
Ooh, okay. That's an interesting way to say that. That makes me want to watch. Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like it's really interesting. And D. Bradley Baker's in it. He plays like this slime creature named Murph,
Okay.
and all he's doing is like guttural sounds, but it's still pretty funny.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, I hate to
Yeah.
admit this. I'm so out of the loop on Star Trek. Is that the
No.
animated one? Is that the animated one on Paramount Plus, or is that its own show?
So this is an animated one on Paramount Plus that they
Okay.
also put on Nickelodeon at one point.
Oh, okay, okay. So it really
Yeah.
is like a Clone Wars like style. Okay, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's CG. Now there's an adult animated one called Lower Decks,
That's what I was
which
thinking of.
yeah, that one's so good.
Mhm.
So funny. And then they had Carlos Alizraki there, who was Rocco from Rocco's Modern Life, Garcia on Reno 911. He was also the Taco Bell dog during the commercials, like in the
Mhm.
90s and
Yeah, I
2000s.
remember.
Yeah, and then he was also in Star Trek Lower Decks as the villain from last season named Admiral Buenamigo, who was like obsessed with Texas and stuff. And that was a lot of fun. And then they had Billy West from Futurama and Ren and Stimpy and Doug, and he
Okay.
was he was so much fun to listen to,
Mhm.
especially like when he was talking about how they came up with the impression for Nixon in Futurama, and he said that he always pictured Nixon turning into a werewolf.
Yeah.
so so he was talking about it, and like he was talking about how when he was a kid he watched a debate between Nixon and Kennedy, and like Kennedy
Mhm.
looked all regal and everything and super like put together, and then he said like Nixon was just disheveled and had flop sweat and like all this other stuff. And he said, like, I pictured Nixon like turning into a werewolf where he's like, I want to be president. I want to be president.
Yeah, that is like such an interesting thing because that is such like an iconic kind of impersonation in that show of like it's so quotable, it's so good, it's just so instantly like on point, and
Yeah,
it's so weird. Like it's such a strange impersonation of that
it,
person.
it really is. But it's
Yeah,
so on the money for that character.
yeah, absolutely.
And then like he was also Doug in the TV show Doug.
Oh
And
yeah,
like Stimpy and Ren and Stimpy and everything, and he was great. And then we did the Masquerade Saturday night, and in which two of our friends actually won Best Original Costume, which
Ooh.
was really cool. They were these goblins that were like
Mhm.
all whimsical and everything, and then the judges were like, "Well, when are we getting the children's book for these two characters? Because we want to read this." um, and then during halftime for the show, they had two stand-up comedians. One was dressed as Seven of Nine from Star Trek Voyager, and she was okay. I didn't think she was as funny as the other guy.
Yeah.
And then the other guy was dressed as Data, and he was doing stand-up as Data, but he was doing like different impressions of like comedians and stuff.
Mhm.
And at one point, he does Gaffigan, and he just starts talking about Klingon food, and Gaffigan does the hot pocket.
Yeah.
He does that with the Klingon food ga, which is like live worms. He was just like ga
Okay.
pocket.
Yeah.
Uh, so it was great. It was fun.
There
Um,
is. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, no, go ahead.
There is like a wild specific art to like doing stand up directed at one very nerdy audience. Like I got
Yes.
the extreme like pleasure of being in the episode 9 panel at Celebration in 2019, and Stephen Colbert hosted, and he did like 10 minutes of stand up before the show started
Mhm.
just for a Star Wars audience, because he's like, I'll never have a room like this again. I'll never have
Oh
a room
yeah,
like this again. And I have these jokes and I just want to get them out. And
yeah,
I'm just like, this is great. Like this is such a specific thing, but it's so good. It's so funny.
yeah. You are frozen, by the way.
Oh, oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're good now. Um, but yeah, like stuff like that, like you only get one shot at that to like
Mhm.
to really get to that audience, and that it was a lot of fun. I can't recommend this con enough. It's so much fun to just see all of these people come together. They even raised money for charity for this foundation called the Gillian Fleming Foundation, where they auctioned off all of these items and everything, and one of them was actually a costume used in the DC opera performance of Turandot, which
Okay.
was really cool. I think that auctioned for what, $800? Oh, it was 1,000. Yeah, it was $1,000. And it was just really cool to see that. And in fact, we got something from the art auction. Um, where is? Oh, here it is. We won this. Somebody actually went on the Halcyon and was inspired by the Halcyon and made this Halcyon quilt.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, it's really,
Really nice.
really nice. I don't
Yeah.
want to like unfurl this because it's pretty big, but
Sure.
it
Yeah.
was it was really, really cool. Like we both saw it and we were like, we have to get this. Like this
Yeah.
is so, so cool. So there was that. And then I actually got sorry, Pickle. I actually had an autograph book from Justina Ireland. It was an autographed copy of Mission to Disaster, and I actually donated it to the charity auction because I wanted somebody to, I wanted it to also go to a good home, but I wanted to really like, you know, support that charity. So there was that. Um, hi, buddy. Um, and then so we did find one Star Wars thing
Okay.
that we wanted. We found this clone trooper. It's a scuba clone trooper.
Hmm. I don't recognize them. Oh, okay. The mark. Never mind. I was gonna say the markings, but yeah.
My wife collects clone troopers, so we needed a new clone for the shelf,
Hmm.
and we hadn't bought one for a while. And it even comes with droid factory parts.
Oh, dope. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So there was that.
Yes, she would love my Lego collection of stormtroopers because I have like over 100 of them at this point, and all the different like subsections.
Yeah.
Love it.
Tonight we were hanging out with a couple of friends of ours, and it's another couple, and the wife does baking, and she baked us a Starlight Beacon cookie.
That's so good. That's
Yeah, I
awesome.
don't want to eat this because of the logo, but I want to eat it because it's her sugar cookies are so freaking good.
Yeah, yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um so then I'm just going to showcase these goodies.
I'm loving this show and tell that you have going. Like, this is awesome.
Then this came out this week. Even though I listened to the audio drama, I had to pick up Battle
Yeah.
of Jeddah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, I'm a completionist when it comes to the High Republic.
Fair.
And then I okay, I'm gonna save that for last.
Okay.
For my for Valentine's Day, I got the Han Solo Legends trilogy.
Ooh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you read it before?
Yes, a
Okay.
long time ago.
Yes.
I remember loving every single one of these
Hmm.
books.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, and then where there it is. Yeah. And then I got the Soda Ted Lasso.
Ooh, super
I
fun.
I love Ted Lasso. It's
Same.
such a great show.
So excited for it to come back in less a month. 1 month.
Yes,
Yeah.
March 15th.
Yeah.
And come on, they have to win at the end. They have to win at
They're
the
yeah,
end.
they're going to. They set up a good villain for them to go against. They set up like the whole idea. They're gonna win.
Huh? Oh, I will. So, a friend of mine knew I couldn't make it to Celebration
Hmm.
and knows how much of a big fan I am of the High Republic, and I actually got them into the High Republic as well.
Okay.
Um, they found the box set.
Oh, that's so good.
I know.
It's
Um,
uh,
yeah, I am not going to tell you how this person acquired this.
mhm.
It was all legal. It was all within legal means.
I assumed.
Yeah, but I man, I don't even want to like take this out
I
of the
wouldn't either. No,
yeah. Um, it's so beautiful though. It's
I know.
so beautiful.
It's my biggest regret. I didn't pick it up. I kept picking up like Attack of the Clones merch, and I was like, oh, I'll get this instead. And then I didn't get it. And I was an idiot. I was wrong. I made a bad decision.
It's okay.
Uh,
I I've seen actually these going on sale on eBay for the highest I saw was 600.
mhm.
Um, but yeah, it's so cool, and now I have to make room on my High Republic shelf for this and this monstrosity of a book.
Yeah.
Actually, this one isn't nearly as big as Tempest Runner. Tempest Runner is definitely a bigger
Yeah.
book.
That's still like bigger than I would think it. Although I guess it's like the script set up. Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah, it is.
Mhm. Yeah.
So,
How did you enjoy it?
Battle of Jeddah,
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. Crichton's son is easily my favorite Phase 2 character.
Okay. Fair. Yeah.
Um, but I really, really enjoyed it. And one of my favorite things about this phase is I love how much time they spend like investigating all of like these force cults and force
Yeah.
religions and stuff.
Absolutely.
And what did you think of it?
I enjoyed it the most. I think it gave Phase 2 the momentum it needed. I've
Mhm.
enjoyed all the Phase 2 stuff. It was just like I was kind of like they all kind of felt like separate stories and like they weren't that big of stories. This one I
Yeah.
was like, okay, nope, this has scale, this has momentum. I'm so excited to
Mhm.
see what happens next. I'm not just enjoying this one, it's making me enjoy all of them. So
Yeah.
yeah, I loved it.
It definitely helps to read Convergence first.
Yeah, for sure.
And especially Path of Deceit. Like you need to read Path of Deceit.
Mhm.
You don't really need to read too much of Quest of the Hidden City.
So yeah, I picked that up, and I would agree with you. I'm only about halfway through it, but you know, it's just kind of been something I've been leafing through as I go.
Yeah. It's still a fun book, and
Mhm.
it was a good palate cleanser after the heaviness of Path of Deceit.
Yeah. Yeah.
but but like this this is my favorite story so far of phase 2. I really enjoyed it. And I love Ada too. Ada's such a
Yeah.
great character.
Mhm.
Um and I just love like the whole political thriller too. And I I was on edge because I thought George was gonna kill Salandra.
Mhm.
And I'm glad he didn't.
Yeah. I think my favorite little character in this was and I'm so bad with names of characters, but the droid who only spoke in like forcisms or whatever you would call it.
Yes.
I loved that idea, but I was also like terrified of like, oh my god, he actually is the bomber. That's what we're gonna find out. And I was
Mhm.
like, oh, thank God he wasn't. Okay, we didn't
I
go
th-
that route. Thank God, it's okay.
his name I think was P3.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, P3. I loved Keth so much. Speaking of P3,
Yeah,
Keth was such a great character, and I loved I loved that he hung out at a bar
yeah, yeah. That
with
seems right.
with the denizens of Batu.
Yeah.
And I love that we're getting more of the Santeca family in the High Republic too.
That's fair.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, so let's get into some news and then we're going to get
Yeah.
into our main topic. Sorry, I didn't mean to take up that much
No.
time. Yeah, I got to stop looking at that script book because I'm going to want to read it. Um, all right. So while we were gone, we missed a couple of, well, we didn't miss a couple of things, but we couldn't talk about it. We have Star Wars Jedi Survivor has been pushed back from March 17th to April 28th. How are we feeling about this?
I'm so excited for the game. It's literally one of the reasons I bought a PS5. But at the same time, thank God. Thank God this moved. Because we had Mando, we had Bad Batch, Celebration was happening. I was just like, there's too much stuff. Like the Battle Scars book is coming out. I'm like, there's too much Star Wars in March. And I want to just be able to enjoy this game. So I'm so glad it's after Celebration and
Yeah,
after Mando's done, where I'm like, great, I can just sink my teeth into this like nonstop.
yeah. I'm the same way. I was really hoping for that March 17th release date,
Mhm.
because like I want to play it right now.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of glad that they pushed it back because it'll allow them to polish it a little bit more
Mhm.
and really tweak it. Plus, it gives me time to read Battle Scars
Yes.
when that comes out.
Mhm.
So yeah, I am looking forward to more of Cal Kestis and our little favorite Happy Tap droid BD1.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's soon. It's soon.
Yeah.
It's about 2 months away. So
Mhm.
next up we have E.K. Johnston writing a Kira novel
Mhm.
called Crimson Rising. Your thoughts on this?
I'm pretty excited about this. I mean, I wasn't the biggest fan of the Ahsoka book, but I love all the Queen's trilogy. Like, those are some of my absolute favorites. Um, I'm excited about this because it feels like it might be a little bit more like darker, gritty, a little bit more action to it. Like, it's a very different story from the Padme stuff, which while those were my favorite, I'm also like, okay, I need her to do something else because like it's all kind of been this Padme and handmaidens and like political or like intrigue and stuff. And I'm like, I kind of want somebody to just start shooting blasters at some point too. And Kara's a great character to do that with. So I'm super excited to see what she does with this.
Yeah, I am too. However, I just want to see Kira in live action.
Same, same.
Don't get me wrong, I love the fact that she's getting the love that she deserves between Charles writing her in the comics and then between and EK Johnston writing this Kira book.
Yeah.
I am happy that we're stepping away from Jedi and handmaidens and Padme and all that fun stuff to like really focus on the criminal underworld now. Um, I am also hoping that we get to see Lando in this book because I think that that would be fun to kind of tie a little bit of those loose ends up from Solo.
Oh, I'd kind of forgotten that they had met before. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, that would
Yeah,
be cool. That would be a great place to put both of them. Okay. Yeah,
yeah.
that's great. I love that idea.
And then with this book, you can also show Kira building Crimson Dawn post Maul's death too.
Do you think they're gonna go after?
I I think we'll get a little bit after, but I think it's mostly going to be post Solo pre his death.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's gonna be almost all pre just because and I don't think they have any plans for a solo 2 at this point. I also want
Mhm.
to see a continuation 100%, but
Yeah.
it does feel like they are like very, very much leaving it completely open. Like they're
Hmm.
just like, we're not going to touch that time period at all. Because if they were going to do anything, I think we would have a book at this point that like semi continue it or like, touched it more. So I do think they're kind of just like, we're not going to touch that space. We're not going to touch it until we figure out what we're doing.
Yeah, I feel like Last Shot is kind of the Solo sequel in a
Yeah.
way.
Mhm. Well, I have a quick question for you then.
Yeah.
You think the Lando series is still happening? And do you think the Lando series would be like a solo sequel ish series with Lando as the main character?
Um okay, so actually speaking of this, we a few of my friends and I were talking about this last night in the Discord server, and I still think the Lando show is going to happen. I think Donald Glover is popular enough, and the character is one of the standouts from that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I feel like it's going to happen. However, I don't think it's going to be as soon as we think.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and what was your follow up? I'm sorry.
Do you think that like a Lando series would be a continuation, like a solo 2 with him as the main character? Like, do you think that Han, Alden Ehrenreich Han Solo shows up? Do you think Kira shows up in that series?
I think you have a better shot at Alden as Han showing up in that series.
Okay.
Because you could still do it in between Rebels and A New Hope. Like you can
Mm-hmm.
still do it in that era. Actually, you could adapt the rest of the Han Solo trilogy
Mm-hmm.
in this follow up series. I think it will be Donald Glover's Lando. What about you?
I definitely think it will be Donald Glover's Lando. I really do think it's going to essentially be a sequel that's much more focused on him. Like the
Hmm.
first one was a Han Solo movie, this one's a Lando movie.
Hmm.
Same way that like in the Han Solo movie with Lando, this one we're gonna have Han, but he's gonna be the side character. Like I think that's how they're gonna play it to some extent.
Um, did you read Scoundrels?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yes, the old Timothy Zahn book, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I really like any solo follow up. I would love for them to actually adapt that
Mm-hmm.
because you could still do Scoundrels, but from Lando's perspective instead of
Mm-hmm.
Han's.
Yes. Yeah, I think the only thing would be so what would you I know this is a slight spoiler for anyone who hasn't read Scoundrels, but would you still want them to do the Boba Fett thing, or would you like Boba Fett to be written out and them to not do that? Because I feel like that doesn't work as well in a visual medium when everybody knows what Boba Fett looks like.
Yeah, I would leave Boba Fett out of it.
Okay, I would agree.
I because he's an important part, but he's not really an important part to the book.
He's really only important to like a twist at the end that doesn't need to be there if you don't want it
Yeah,
to be there.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So you could still do the whole heist without Boba Fett being involved at the
Yeah.
end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would much rather them just keep Boba Fett in his own little pocket
Yeah.
of the Star Wars universe and not bring him into the stuff with Han and Lando. However, I get why they do it because you have to set up the rivalry between Han Solo and Boba Fett at some
Yeah.
point.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, this to me is would be much easier just to have a straight up fun heist story. We were joking about last night we were joking about like Chopper getting his own series with like Lando and Tag and Bink from the old EU,
Mhm.
and just like having just like, oh no, it was Lando with Haja Estri from Obi-Wan, which I think would be amazing.
That does sound very fun.
Yeah, because Haja Estri is a scoundrel just like Obi-Wan. I mean, not Obi-Wan, Lando.
Yeah, no, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I wanted to call Obi-Wan a
Yeah.
scoundrel.
I also think that they would both try to like con each other. That they would
Yeah.
both like think like, "Oh, I'm smarter than this guy. I can
Mhm.
con him," and neither of them would get away with anything.
Exactly. It
Yeah,
would be the perfect workplace comedy
yeah, it'd be
with
great.
those two in it. Yeah. So let's move on here to our next topic. We have the cover reveal for the Edge of Balance manga. This is, I believe, the final story in phase two. I think that's what they're saying, that this is the final story. And we have a Wookiee Jedi pissed off.
Huh, I am just looking at this now. I haven't actually seen this before, so I'm just taking a look at it. Uh, oh, I did see this. I kind of forgot. Yeah, this is super interesting.
Hmm. Yeah, I love the cover. I think it's great.
Oh, and there's I forget what the species is called, but Admiral Trench's species. I love seeing more of those.
Hmm. Me too. Me too.
Yeah, this looks awesome.
Yes. Um, I if you haven't read Edge of Balance yet in the High Republic, you all should, because it's a wonderful manga. Absolutely wonderful. And just beautiful. Hey Farm Boy, how's it going, bud? Um, just an absolutely beautiful story, especially the stuff with Lily and the Banshee Temple. It's really cool. Plus, we get to see a badass version of Stellan in manga form.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. Let's move on here to more announcements or more news. Disney is moving to offer only one dinner seating on the Star Cruiser for voyages with low numbers. So I haven't been on Star Cruiser. I don't think you have either.
I have not.
So from what we hear, it's pretty much typical like cruise dinner seating. Like you can choose between a 6 p.m. show, or I mean a 6 p.m. seating or an 8 p.m. seating. And on these lower booked voyages, they're actually just combining all of them. So I think it's like if the Star Cruiser is like less than 50% full, I think they're just combining it
Mm-hmm.
into one seating. Thoughts on this, even though we haven't experienced the Star Cruiser? Any thoughts?
So yeah, I am kind of curious about this also just because like I know a couple people who have gone on it, and also like I've watched a ton about it. I'm sure we all have just out of
Yeah.
interest. And I do wonder how this like affects like because I know like a lot of people have talked about they're like, well, we're planning it out and like we want to do this experience. So like we're scheduling dinner here and we're trying to do all this stuff. I wonder if this makes it easier or like worse for like having like some freedom and like missing stuff. I guess they just don't schedule anything during that, so it probably actually works out a little bit better that you don't have to worry about what you're missing and what you're not.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's not such a bad thing. And also like you can have your all of your actors and crew there like to like set up because I know that's a big part of it is like you can sit with the first order commander, or you can sit with the singers, or you can do this. Honestly, that doesn't sound like a bad thing, and it just makes sense if there's less people on board. It sounds like it might be a better experience actually.
Yeah, I have a feeling like they can actually control storylines a little bit more
Mhm.
with one seating as well. Um, I would be afraid of like being rushed through dinner since it's the one seating. But then on the other hand, I'm thinking they could actually make dinner even longer now because
Yeah,
it's
because they
only
don't
one
have
seating.
to get to the next one. Like the first one
Yeah,
doesn't have to end for the next one. So honestly, yeah, it probably opens them up quite a bit. So it's not
yeah,
ideal that there's such low attendance, but it is ideal for the people on it.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's sad that it's almost 4 grand
Yeah,
to
it's
go on
insane.
the thing.
It's
Yeah,
insane.
Yeah, it really is. I want to go so bad, but
It's insane and it's dumb and we shouldn't spend money on this kind of thing, but I still want to do it. And one day I might. One day I
exactly.
might make that mistake.
Yeah, I keep telling myself
Mhm.
one day I'm gonna be there.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think it's gonna be a good thing like
Mhm.
short term, but then they're gonna have to figure out how to get the numbers long term. And with that, I think you're gonna have to extend the experience to a few more days and possibly lower the price.
Do you think more people would go if they went longer, though?
If you kept the price but went longer, like to 5 or 6 days, I think you could do it.
5 or 6 days. I don't
Well,
know. Look, I love my Star Wars, but I don't know that I can be in that like space for 5 or 6 days. Like even just like there's no windows outside. Like I
yeah.
know you can see space, but I think I would lose it if I was in a box for 5 days.
Well, that's when you go into the climate simulator, which is just essentially Florida.
Sure, okay, just another box that's technically outside. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, to which I want to ask the question, like, what happens if you miss the transport back to the Halcyon on your like for your Batu day? Do you do they have to like walk you through the backstage?
I'm sure the ship just comes back at some point. Like, I'm sure the ship box truck just
Yeah,
comes back at some point.
yeah.
I don't think like the stormtroopers like grab you by the arm and just drag you through the back of the ship. You're going this way. This is what you get. Kylo
You
Ren hits you over the head with a sword for being late.
you couldn't keep track of time. You had one job.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Um, so there's that. Let me see here. I've got a few more things I'm actually going to throw in here in just a few minutes. Star Wars Night is returning to Disneyland in May. Now you went, right?
Yes, I did. I did. It is magical.
I'm sure.
It's incredible. I actually, not to boast too much, but I had the coolest
You're fine.
experience. I had the coolest experience on Haunted Mansion during Star Wars Night, where I was there with a couple of friends and some like YouTubers that I know. It was Alex Damon from Star Wars Explained, and he
Hmm.
turns around at one point on Haunted Mansion. And he goes, "Oh, Daniel!" And I like turn around, I'm like, "Who's he? Who does he know?" And I look over. It's Daniel Jose Arana. And all of the Luminous authors are there, like Claudia Gray. They're all there. And I was like, oh my God, oh my God. And I just like turned to my friend Brian and was like, it's them. It's them. And like I ran up and I ran up to Claudia Gray and I was like, you're my fit. Don't say she's your favorite author. They're all right here. That would be rude. I really love your work. But no, yeah, it was a super cool experience. I was like, oh my
That's
God, they're here.
awesome.
It was like as we were like lowering down, and I was like, I should stop talking to them. They're on the ride. I'm sure they want to enjoy this, but I couldn't contain my excitement.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. But
Uh, yeah,
just to talk about like Star Wars Night as a
yeah.
whole, it is a super cool experience. They bring out all kinds of characters that are never there normally. Like you have Ezra and Sabine and Captain Rex, and just like so many like smaller characters that you normally wouldn't see. Everyone's allowed to wear a full costume as long as it doesn't cover their face. So like you
Hmm.
have like Ahsoka cosplayers just walking through. It's truly, truly incredible. Yeah.
It sounds like they like what they do for May 4th, where they just like let everybody in costume, like if they
Mhm.
want to come in
Yeah.
costume into Hollywood studios.
Mhm.
But yeah, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
One of these years I'll get to do it too.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah,
It's worth the trip. It is an incredible experience.
I'm really hoping. So speaking of like Star Wars events, I'm really hoping that Disney Cruise Line announces a new Star Wars Day at Sea because I think that
Ooh,
that would be a lot of fun to do.
yeah.
They used to do them in the past, and then especially like with the Wish having the hyperspace lounge
Mhm.
as well as the Star Wars cargo bay for the kids. It would make sense to do a Star Wars Day like on the Wish.
Mhm. Yeah, that
Um,
would be super cool. Just yeah, God, you could have such a cool party that way. Okay, yeah, just thinking
Yeah,
about it.
and now I want to go on a Disney cruise. Uh, which, if you haven't been on one,
I have
you
not.
absolutely should. They take such great care of you.
Yeah.
They really do.
Mhm.
If you like going to Disney World and Disneyland, then they do really good job on the cruise.
Yeah.
Let's move on here. Jon Favreau honored with a Hollywood star.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah, this seems weird. Honestly, when I saw this, I was like, "Oh, this hasn't already happened." Like he started the MCU. How does he not have a star already?
Yes.
Mhm.
Without Jon Favreau, we wouldn't have had Avengers Endgame.
Nope.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, long overdue. That's all I'm gonna say
Yeah.
about that. Long overdue.
I don't know how
And
that man has the time to do everything he does. Like he was in all three Spider-Man films, and he was also doing The Mandalorian, and he was like doing the Lion King. Like he does so much stuff. I'm just
hmm
like, I don't know where that man finds the time, but
I've also said, like, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni doing The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett. It's like they're just mashing action figures together.
absolutely. Mhm.
Yeah, we'll talk about our thoughts on that at some other point.
Fair.
Let's see here. We have a new slate of guests announced for Star Wars Celebration. The somehow Palpatine has returned again. We have Ian McDermott, the man who can't swim, Kino Loy, Andy Serkis, and everybody's favorite Jedi, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Thoughts?
I don't know. Signings are never really like my biggest thing. I've done a couple at past celebrations. I did Billy D. Williams and
Mm.
oh my god, I'm completely blanking on his name. He played the villain in Solo. Oh my god, my brain is
Oh,
completely
Paul
starting.
Bettany.
Paul Bettany, thank you. I
Mhm.
got a signature from him, and it is like it's a cool experience. It's honestly like one of those things where it's like it's a signature and it's like $250, and I'm just like I don't know. I'm not that big into it. Although I will admit, Mads Mikkelsen was also announced, and that's one that I might do. I really think he's great, and I would like to get
Mhm.
like I would just like to get a signature and just say hi and be like, "Hey, you're great." You know, yeah. Mm,
Yeah. And our final topic, I'm going to say that this is our final news topic here. Going back to the High Republic, we do you know how excited I am for a Disney Junior High Republic series?
well, yeah, I can imagine, especially after we saw Nubs. That's his name, right? Nubs.
Yes, Nubs, our little blue guy.
Mhm. Which is great.
Yes, we have a release date for Young Jedi Adventures. This is going to be May 4th. It will be airing on Disney Junior as well as streaming on Disney Plus. And it will be on May 4th, so Star Wars Day. The press release says set during the High Republic era and the prime of the Jedi Order. The animated series follows Jedi younglings as they study the ways of the Force, explore the galaxy, help citizens and creatures in need, and learn valuable skills needed to become Jedi along the way. And we do get Nubs, Kai, Liss, and their friends Nash and RJ-83. RJ-83 is the cutest little droid.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. I can't wait to watch every episode of the show that is definitely meant for like 5 through 10 year olds. I can't wait to watch every episode.
I mean, I'm really excited for this.
Same.
It's gonna be so much fun. And are you familiar with so Nubs, are you familiar with the Arrowverse, like Flash,
Yeah.
Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow?
Bebo. He looks
Yeah,
just like Bebo.
thank you. Yes, he looks just like Bebo.
I looked so hard for a gift to use of All Hail Bebo so I could be like, All Hail Nubs.
Yes. Thank you. See,
Yeah.
you get it. You
No,
get it.
absolutely. It's so
Yeah.
Bebo.
Oh,
Mhm.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Bebo as a Jedi.
Uh-huh. Yeah, which
Yeah.
is a great combination. Mhm.
Oh, absolutely the best
Yeah.
combination.
I'm just The only thing I think about with this series is I'm thinking about like the poor 10-year-old kid who watches this and loves it and is like, this is great. And then goes and like reads the High Republic expecting the same thing and is like, oh my god, my heart's broken. Why did they do that to Starlight? Why? I'm just imagining them like not being prepared for what they're about to get into. Why is
Oh,
everything heartbreaking and sad and
and
also great?
that kid is gonna absolutely love Buryaga and then just get his heart ripped out.
Mhm. Okay, I just being that you brought up Buryaga, I just want to say, Brian Ward, who does amazing Star Wars shirts on T Public and stuff, he was talking with like Laura Kelly, and they were talking about Buryaga
Mhm.
shirt, and I was just like, just saying, I will 100% buy this shirt if it comes out. And he just posted on T Public. It says Buryaga lives with a question
Mhm.
mark. I'm so excited. I am absolutely buying that shirt the second the show is over because
Yep.
it's such a cool design. Oh, love it.
I will be picking this up too. He even did stickers.
Awesome. Oh,
Yes, he did stickers, a kid's t-shirt, a hoodie, and he did a mug.
yeah, great.
Yes, Buryaga lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be picking it up. I mean, for $16, you can't beat it.
Yeah. And also, there's so little High Republic merch out there anyway.
Mhm.
Like, I want High Republic shirts. I'm glad this exists.
Yeah, that is okay. That is one of the things before we get into like other merch and stuff. That is one of the things like when the era first kicked off, we had a lot of merch
Hmm.
for the High Republic, like t-shirts and all this other stuff. And now like it's just nothing outside of the books and the comics and everything.
Yeah.
And it's sad because I want to wear High Republic t-shirts. I want to
Yeah.
rep this fandom hard.
Yeah. Because it's great.
Yes.
Like, I want a Path of the Open Hand like shirt that's just like says the Force will be free on it or something. Like, that's what I want.
Hmm. I
Mhm.
want that. I want like give me a convocation shirt too. A Guardians of the Wills shirt.
A shirt that says Axel Graylar did nothing wrong.
We'll talk later. I know you all think that you can fix him.
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
It's not a
Okay.
thought. I can.
Okay. Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. We really shouldn't go into it. That's fair.
We're gonna have a knockdown drag out about why Axel Graylar can't be saved.
Hard to disagree, but we probably shouldn't keep going into it. Okay. All right, I'll let us get off of this. I'm sorry, I
No,
dragged
it's
you into
fine. It's fine. That's the joy of the live show. So this today actually, so this year actually marks the 100th anniversary of the Walt Disney Company. Um, and today in Philly at the Franklin Institute, the Disney 100 exhibit opened. This is a traveling exhibit that showcases that's all about the 100-year history of of the Walt Disney Company. So it's going to cover animation, theme parks, movies, Star Wars, Marvel, National Geographic. I think even has a
it.
wing. So like all of these amazing eras of storytelling and
Mhm.
everything. And so this is a traveling exhibit. It's actually going to be in Philadelphia from today until about the middle of August, I believe.
Okay.
And then from there it goes to Chicago in the States. And I think that if it ever comes back my way, like in DC, I'm gonna go again
Mhm.
because, like, you know, you and I are big Disney fans.
Yep.
Um, so this is pretty cool. The exhibit itself, when you walk in, it actually features a hologram of Walt Disney that was created by Walt Disney Imagineering as well as artificial intelligence. And
Mhm.
I, I I am so like on the fence about AI.
Yep. I don't know that I like that. Stop
Yeah,
bringing dead people back to life with AI. It's not great. It's
yeah.
magical and cool when you see it, and then you also go, "That was a person." I don't know about this.
At that point, you might as well just thaw out his body at the bottom of Disneyland and, bring him back. I mean, that's a thing, right? He's frozen under Disneyland.
Yeah, but people say that, and I go, yeah, but Disneyland like had a lot of trouble with construction. So if that was part of the original building, it might not be standing anymore under there. Like he might have been put under there, but it might not be there anymore.
It's true. One day you're just gonna see him in his own apartment on Main Street.
Yeah.
It's going to feature many different artifacts from Disney history, including the prop book from Sleeping Beauty. I believe that's where the book is from.
Ooh, that's
Yep.
cool.
Black Panther's helmet from the MCU,
Mhm,
a life-size BB-8. We're going to see First Order Stormtrooper armor,
mhm.
a bobsled from the Matterhorn at Disneyland, and we're going to get a model of a Jungle Cruise boat, and so much more is going to be in here. That's just a few of the things. I believe Jack Sparrow's compass is also going to be there, and I believe one of the carousel horses from Mary Poppins is actually going to be there as well.
Mhm.
I love Mary Poppins. I think it's a great movie.
That's that's just super exciting. Yeah, Mary Poppins is a cool one too, just because there's like so much story behind like him and like or like the author and Walt. Like, I mean, there's that amazing
Hmm.
movie about it. But like, yeah, stuff like that's super cool. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. It's all like very exciting.
Hmm. The exhibit, like I said, will not only cover parks and animation, but it's also going to showcase Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars. I believe National Geographic is involved as well. And I also believe Disney Cruise Line will be represented. I mean, they kind of have to do it because it's been around for 25 years.
Yeah. Oh wow, has it really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
I know
they're
very little about the cruise line. Okay.
they're actually doing 25th anniversary sailings this year, that you can go on.
That's a cool
Um,
lineup.
Yeah, I will say this. Disney Cruise Line. I went on my first Disney cruise back in October, and we left from New York, went to New England and Canada, and it was one of the most incredible experiences I've ever had on a cruise ship.
Hmm.
It's so much fun, and like a lot of people are like, "Oh, well, there's going to be tons of kids running around." It was more adults on this one than there were kids. And I loved it. I
Yeah.
absolutely loved it. And plus, there's so much for adults to do on those ships too,
Hmm.
including $50,000 bingo. Um, yeah.
All
Uh,
right.
and I will say, the rotational dining's really cool. So like you get a different dining room each night that
Ooh,
you're
that's cool.
there,
Yeah.
and your staff actually goes with you to each dining room.
Okay,
So that way,
that's great.
yeah, that way they know like what you like and all of that stuff. Um, when we went, it was for 6 nights, so we did Lumiere's. I'll shut up about the cruise in a second.
You're good.
So we so we did Lumiere's the first night. Second night was Animator's Palette, and then the third night was Rapunzel's Royal Table. Lumiere's to me was the weakest of the three because it's trying to be like bougie and kind of like more high end when it comes to like the sit down dining for like the
Mhm,
rotational dining. And it was okay, I had duck that night, which it was all right. And then like Animator's Palette I loved because it was all about animation and just dedicated to the art of animation.
mhm,
And then Rapunzel's Royal Table was fun. If you enjoy Tangled, you'll really like that restaurant. Um, but anyway, check out if you can go on a Disney cruise, do it because it's so much fun. I
mhm,
also highly recommend Canada and New England because it's amazing. Um, so let's see here. Admission to the Disney 100 exhibit also grants you access to the rest of the Franklin Institute Museum for the rest of the day, which is really cool,
mhm,
because they have a bunch of interesting things. It's also been 20 years since I've been to the Franklin Institute, but it's pretty cool. Um, I'm really excited to check this out next week. I've been a Disney fan my entire life. I'm 35, soon to be 36, and Disney has been always been a joy and a comfort to me. I don't know, maybe it has something to do with my parents always encouraging me to use my imagination or to
Mhm.
pursue things that I'm passionate about. But Disney has always been a part of my life. How do you feel about this exhibit like coming out? Like, do you want to like fly to Philly now to check this thing out, or are you just gonna wait until it comes to your neck of the woods?
I'll probably wait until it comes to my neck of the woods if I'm honest. If I'm back
Yeah.
in my neck of the woods by then, let's be honest. But no, because I think like in that way, I'm excited for it for the opposite reasons because I am kind of the opposite of you in that way of like I wasn't a huge Disney fan like growing up. Like
Hmm.
I watched a couple of the movies here and there and like yada yada yada. But honestly, I never went to like Disneyland or anything until like just a little over a year ago.
Hmm.
And like I just went like kind of like I'm gonna be in California for something. I'll have an extra day. I should go do that. Went and was like, this is the greatest place in the world. This is
Yeah.
amazing. This is all I want to do. And like kind of fell in love with it.
Hello.
Got like more and more into
Yeah.
the lore. Got like more interested and was just like kept jumping into it. So now I'm like really, really digging my teeth into all of it. Like this is so good. And
Hmm.
like I'm going through the back catalogs on Disney Plus, which kind of used to just be like a Marvel and like Star Wars thing for me. And I was just like, no, I want to like go through all of this.
Hmm.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Have you watched the Imagineering story?
I have, which I loved. I
Yeah.
absolutely loved. It's
Yeah.
stellar. Yeah.
It's so good.
Mhm.
It's so good. If you like to our audience, if you've never watched the Imagineering story, do yourself a favor and watch it because it is absolutely wonderful. And it hit during the perfect time, like during the pandemic, like when you needed that Disney magic, like you could just watch that
Mhm.
and and just enjoy it. But I think it's really cool that you are just now getting into
Mhm.
like diving into Disney because it let's face it, not everybody had a Disney childhood like you said.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like, it's different for everybody.
Mhm.
Um I haven't been to Disneyland. I want to go because I hear it's just incredible.
Mhm.
I've been to Disney World quite a few times.
Mhm.
You've done Disney World, right?
So I did Disney World. I've only done Disney World once, and I
Like,
was 4 years old,
oh,
I
okay.
think. So not a lot of memories of Disney World, if I'm honest.
No, that's
Technically, I've
fair.
been there. Yeah. Mm.
Um, it's so much better as an adult.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah.
I have been told that I absolutely have to go to Epcot to drink around the world as an adult. So
Yes.
I that is on my list. That might one of my like next trips might end up being Disney World.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I would say that if you do Epcot, do it during Food and Wine.
I've also been told that. Yeah, I've heard that
Yeah.
too. Okay.
Because that is a lot of fun.
Hmm.
And Flower and Garden's really nice, and so is Festival of the Arts.
Okay.
Which Festival of the Arts is about to wrap or it just wrapped up.
Hmm.
Um, and like that's centered around Figment and like a few others.
Okay.
For Food and Wine, you can do hide and squeak where you're trying to find hidden Remy's.
Ooh, that's
Yeah,
fun.
yeah. So Epcot definitely worth it. Of course, going to Hollywood Studios and Galaxy's Edge,
Hmm.
you got to do that. And if you're an Avatar fan, Pandora is pretty cool.
I'm not like the biggest Avatar fan, but I hear Pandora is amazing. So I really do like I'm excited to try that when I do it. Even
Yeah.
though I'm like, Avatar is whatever, but like that world is very cool, and I would like to
Hmm.
step into it for a couple of hours.
Yeah. And plus, they have a really good slush drink that you
Is
can
it
get
better than blue
spiked.
milk?
Oh,
Yeah.
ooh.
Mhm.
Um, oh man. Oh, I really because I was a Star Wars fan before an Avatar fan.
Yeah.
It's got to be the blue milk for
Okay.
me.
I have a question. In
Yeah.
Florida, can you get the blue milk spiked? I've heard that you
Yes.
can. Okay,
Yes,
because you can't
yes.
do that in
Mhm.
California. There's no spiked blue milk.
Yes,
Okay.
you can actually go to the milk stand and order a spiked
Okay.
blue or spiked green milk. I believe for the blue it's rum,
Okay.
and then I think for the green it's either rum or vodka.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. Um and I believe that a few of the Oga's drinks differ from land to world too.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, but I love my blue milk.
Yeah.
Um
Oga's
hey,
is great though. Oga's.
oh, uh,
Whatever
so
that bubbly foam drink is, the fuzzy tauntaun.
yeah, the fuzzy tauntaun's really good.
Mhm.
The fuzzy tauntaun is really good. I also really like I'm a big beer guy or a beer person, so I love the Gold Squadron Lager.
Ooh, I haven't tried
Yeah.
that yet.
If you like just straight up like lagers, it's great. It's so
Okay.
good. And then I also had the Spice Runner, which was their cider, which wasn't terrible. And then if you like non-alcoholic drinks, the Java Juice is really good too.
Hmm.
Um, but you know, I really was hoping that for the Disney 100 exhibit they would have blue milk that you could get.
Mhm.
Um, but you know, it's okay. And of course, we just found out today there is merch at the exhibit. It wouldn't be Disney without
Yeah,
merch.
how could there not be?
Yeah. So it looked like some T-shirts, some hats, like water
Mhm.
bottles, probably pins.
Yeah.
The picture was a little bit farther away, so like
Hmm.
even like if you zoomed in, like it you didn't really have like a clear picture at like what was there. But I believe I saw Spirit jerseys too.
Okay. I wonder if it's the same stuff they had at the parks because I was just there like 2 weeks ago at
Hmm.
Disneyland and they
Hmm.
had some like 100th anniversary stuff. So I'm curious if it's the same stuff.
I think they'll have some of that same stuff, but I
Yeah,
think they're gonna have like exhibit exclusive
that would
merch
make
too.
sense.
Kind of like what they do for like Halloween parties and Christmas
Hmm.
parties and all that
Yeah, that's
stuff.
very Disney.
Yeah. Just to be like, I was one of the elite few that did this. And it's like, okay, so you bought a T-shirt.
Yeah, so they tricked you into buying another T-shirt. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's how
yeah,
that works.
exactly, exactly.
I'll still do it. I'll still
Yeah,
fall for the trick, but
oh yeah. Like I'm gonna get like my 80th hat probably
yeah.
from this exhibit, but you
Mhm.
know, it's like I have way too many hats as I purchase another hat.
Yep. Hmm.
Yeah. Um, but it'll be really cool to see. Oh, they also have the Skywalker lightsaber, the one that Ray forges back together.
The reforged. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, which I think will be really cool to see too. And I think they're gonna have a prototype light cycle from Tron. Yeah, I
Love
think it's
Tron.
either gonna be. Oh, I love Tron also. I love both movies, and I love Uprising. Tron Uprising is so good.
You know, I never watched Uprising, and I've always meant to check it out. That I might need to do.
Yeah. Legacy is so good.
Yeah,
Tron
Legacies.
Legacy is so good.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. Thoughts on this exhibit?
Honestly, I didn't know anything about this until like I saw it in the notes and he started talking about it. I'm super excited to go to this when it comes to Chicago. Like I'm super excited to go to this. This
Yeah.
sounds amazing. And just like I'm such a sucker for props and just like staring at props. Like
Hmm.
it's amazing. And like I think Disney does an amazing job with this. I got to do the Mandalorian exhibit that they did at Celebration.
Yeah.
Amazing. Like they did such an incredible setup. Like not only like do they have props, but like they had the Cad Bane mask from Book of Boba Fett, and they had it fully taken apart so you could see every section. You're like, this is where this goes on the person. This is how this works, and it's like this is incredible. This is like an engineering feat that they're just like fully explaining. So
Mm-hmm.
they're so good at like just taking like props and instead of just being like, here it is, here's the thing. they'll give you the history of it, they'll show you things, they'll explain things. So the Disney exhibit, all that kind of stuff seems so interesting to me because they do such a nice job at showing things off.
Yeah. And then I heard something about a touring exhibit that's dedicated just to Disney animation too.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if I can look that up real quick.
Yeah.
Disney animation touring exhibit.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that'd be fascinating because so many people don't like always understand how animation works. Not that I know how animation works, if I'm honest, but like it's such an interesting art because like there's so many layers to it and it's changed so much. It'd be interesting to see because Disney's been around for almost all of it to like show
Yeah.
like this is how we started, this is what we kept doing, this is what changed, this is what happened. It'd be cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see here. It's Disney Animation Immersive Experience, presented by Lighthouse Immersive Studios. So the cities right now that it's at, Boston, Cleveland, Columbus, Denver, Detroit, Vegas, Minneapolis, Nashville, San Antonio, and Toronto.
Columbus. Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Boston one. So like it's got Frozen, it's everything. So it says
Hmm.
the Disney Animation Immersive Experience is an innovative celebration that takes you inside the greatest films of Walt Disney Animation Studios, from their very earliest groundbreaking features to the beloved hit movies of today. Imagine stepping into the casino with Mirabelle from Encanto, being at Pride Rock as Rafiki presents Simba, surrounded by the animal kingdom as the sun rises. Imagine hopping the train with Judy Hopps and going to Zootopia, or
Hmm.
taking the magic carpet ride with Aladdin and Jasmine. Now you can step into the art and legacy of Walt Disney Animation Studios and celebrate the music, artistry, and animation from the creators of Frozen, Little Mermaid, Big Hero 6, and many more. Let's see how much the tickets are.
Cool.
Uh, $36 a person.
Oh, that's not bad.
No, that's in February.
Hmm.
In March it's 36 with 40 on some weekends, but it is what it is.
Yeah. It also looks like they have family packs and stuff now that I'm looking
Mhm.
at it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah, but that is really cool.
Hmm.
All right, so now that we're talking about Disney,
Hmm.
uh favorite Disney animated movie and favorite live action Disney movie.
Okay, I'm gonna start with live action because one came to mind,
Okay,
and I do think I'm gonna like kind of not put like big franchises on it. I'm just gonna kind of do
that's fine.
like Disney live action movies.
Yeah.
A lot of people dislike this movie, but I absolutely love it.
Mm.
Tomorrowland.
Oh,
I love Tomorrowland so much.
I absolutely love that movie. It's
Yeah,
so good.
it's it's great. It's
Yeah.
there's so much to it, and I do admit like it has some like scenes that kind of drag. Like the comic book
Hmm.
shop scene doesn't super need to be in there, but it's
Hmm.
just fun. It's weird, and I'd rather have big weird swings and like at it than just to kind of have like boring cookie cutter movies. And
Hmm.
it's so much fun, and it's so much in the Disney spirit.
Hmm.
Like it absolutely is. So I think that would be it. And I'm still kind of like going through a couple of animated
Hmm.
movies. I'm gonna say Lilo and Stitch, being that
Hmm.
like that is also my Twitter tag is Lilo and Jane
Yeah.
for a reason. I love Lilo and Stitch. I loved
Hmm.
that movie as a kid. That was like probably one of the only like Disney movies that I remember actually like seeing as a kid. Now that
Hmm.
I say it, it was that, and I think I watched Toy Story, and that was probably it. Yeah,
Yeah. Toy
yeah,
Story is a good one. Toy Story
yeah.
is a good one.
Mhm.
Which I'll get into the Toy Story 5 thing here in a minute. For me, live action, it's actually uh I love Tomorrowland too. I
Yeah,
think it's so good,
mhm.
and it makes you think, but it also like really inspires you to
It does.
try to make a difference in the world.
Hmm.
And then I would also say the Mighty Ducks movies.
I
Uh,
have not seen them. I'll
They're
have to check.
really good.
Okay.
Also, Miracle's really good too. That's the
Love,
one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then, oh well, actually no. Favorite live action movie besides Tomorrowland? No, Cool Runnings. I love Cool Runnings to death because I mean I'm a John Candy fan.
Yeah.
Favorite animated movie? Okay, I gotta go with another tie here. Atlantis. I
Ooh.
love Atlantis so much. Uh, and then I would also say, um, you know what? This movie doesn't get nearly enough love either. I would say Treasure Planet. Treasure
I
Planet is so good.
I was just thinking about that. That's one I've seen recently, and I love Treasure Planet,
Hmm.
especially that song "I'm Still Here." That is in my
Hmm.
rotation on my playlists all of the time. That movie's great. Yeah, everything.
Yeah, and I really feel like it gets such a bad rap.
I don't know why though. I don't. Also, I just want to throw it out there. It's
Hmm.
such a specific detail, but I love it
Hmm.
so much. Is like those. I think that was like early 2000s. Yeah, that
Hmm.
was early 2000s. There is something about early 2000s like MacGuffins that they just had this weird style to them of like
Yep.
overly complicated but beautiful. And that little like compass globe thing that they have is the coolest looking thing. Like I want one of
Yeah.
those. I don't know what it is, but it's just like I just want to touch it. I want to feel it. It's just it seems like just cool. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, yeah, that was a style that we had for a very short amount of time and we
Hmm.
should bring back.
Well, that and like the early 2000s for Disney is considered like a dark era again,
Mhm,
but to me I think that's when they really started to hit their stride
mhm.
with the movies. Now I will say this, I'm not that big of a fan of Home on the Range.
Yeah, I've never seen it. I've seen the poster and been like, I'm good on that one.
But I do like most of the 2000s like
Mhm.
hand-drawn animated
Yeah.
movies. I even enjoy Princess and the Frog. I think that that is very good too.
Mhm. I watched that one recently too, just because like the Splash Mountain stuff. I was like, oh, I should see
Hmm.
what this is, and I was like, oh, this is pretty good. Yeah, I could
Hmm.
see why they're doing this.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Also, Dr. Facilier, completely underrated villain.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Um. I Now when it comes to the modern movies, Big Hero 6 is my favorite. I love that movie so
Yeah, that
much.
is great. Um, I actually love kind of one of the other like more maligned ones, and
Hmm.
what I think is more maligned, I don't actually know that much.
Hmm.
But Brother Bear, I really like Brother Bear. I think it's just because like I'm a big national parks person and I love hiking in
Hmm.
nature. I'm just like, this is gorgeous. I just want to go to wherever this is. Like
Yeah.
honestly, half of it's not the movie. I'm just like, like I just want to live here.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Brother
Yeah,
Bear is really good.
yeah.
Brother Bear is very good. Plus, it has Rick Moranis and Dave Thomas as Moose.
Oh, I didn't realize that was Rick Moranis. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, that could make sense.
yeah, and it's just fun. And
Yeah.
I think that was during. Yeah, I was gonna say that was during the whole Phil Collins writing the hell out of all the Disney music era. Because
Oh,
he did
strangers like
that.
me.
Yeah, he did that in Tarzan, which Tarzan's another good one.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, okay, so Pixar movies. Oh, what's your favorite Pixar movie? Because I mean, this ties into the whole Disney 100 thing. So,
There's a lot to choose from. I'm
hmm,
kind of thinking about Wally. I really
okay,
enjoy Wally. Although it might just be Toy Story 3. I mean, that's
hmm,
kind of a simple answer, but I mean, there's a reason it's so popular. It's a perfect movie,
it
you
is.
know?
It
Uh,
really is.
oh, Inside Out. I'm going to go with Inside Out. I really love
Okay,
Inside Out. Yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
Um, I'm I'm not a big fan of Inside Out. I think it's good. Like I
Mhm.
think it's good. Um, but I mean, if you love it, that's cool.
Mhm.
Like I'm all for it. For me, Ratatouille.
Ratatouille's a good choice. Yeah,
Yeah.
Ratatouille's great.
I do love the Toy Story movies. I love 1 through 3. I thought 4 was fairly good.
Okay.
Um, I think that them doing a 5th movie is a huge mistake.
Yeah. That really, I hate to say it, but that really feels like Strange World didn't do well, and they're like, just sequels. That's all we're doing now. And I'm like, ugh, I know, and I understand because like no one saw Strange Tales. I saw
Mhm.
Strange Tales actually. I actually really enjoyed it. I was a little drunk after the bar, but yeah, that's honestly the reason I went to see it. But honestly, it's great, and I wish more people
Mhm.
had seen it because now they're like Toy Story 5.
I think Strange I really enjoyed Strange World, actually. I thought
Strange
that
World. Thank you.
yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. Because, like, it was a really cool homage to Fantastic Voyage, which I thought was really cool.
Yep.
Plus, there was so much world building in that movie,
Hmm.
and it felt a lot like Atlantis and Treasure Planet,
It
which is,
did.
like, my thing. Like, I
Hmm.
dug it so much. Uh, I think Onward's okay. Um, but keep in mind, I also think a little bit of Chris Pratt goes a very long way. um, I but I do want to play Quests of Yore. I do want to play Quests of Yore, which you can actually play. It's a real game that you can get.
Oh wow, didn't know
Yeah,
that. That's
yeah.
interesting.
Um, but yeah, so like you know, oh, also Frozen 3 was announced.
That one I'm okay with. That I feel
Okay,
like they could do a trilogy with.
yeah,
Maybe
um,
no more than that, but you know,
yeah, um, and then Zootopia 2 got announced, which I like Zootopia.
never saw it.
The Zootopia Plus shorts on Disney Plus are really, really good. If you are a fan of trashy reality television, they make fun of the Real Housewives in
Hmm.
one of the episodes. And also, Alan Tudyk is in it as Duke Weaselton.
That does sound fun.
Oh, yeah, he's great. I love Alan Tudyk, especially as these obscure characters in modern Disney movies.
Hmm.
Okay, so speaking of modern Disney movies, how do you feel about Moana and like Encanto?
Did not see Encanto. It's on my list. It's one of the movies that I do need to see. I just haven't done it yet.
Hmm.
Um, what was the other one you asked? I'm sorry.
Moana.
Moana. I loved Moana. I
Hmm.
really loved Moana. It also feels like that classic kind of Disney musical that I really
Hmm.
enjoy. Like that is in my playlist of Disney jams. It's just something I love running through. So
Hmm.
I really like Moana.
Yeah, I think Moana's really good. Plus it also like introduced this new era of conflict in Disney movies where they're not necessarily going up against a villain. They're just going up against like a natural
Yep.
like force and like a misunderstood thing, which I think is really interesting. Um what was I going to ask? Oh yeah, Shiny is a great song too, by the way. Jermaine Clement is amazing. Um what questions do you have?
I don't know. I'm trying to kind of think of some. You've given me a lot of good questions, which has driven everything else out of my mind. But I'm just trying to
Sorry.
like kind of think about some of the other stuff. Oh, okay. I will ask.
Mhm.
Favorite Disney Channel movie, if you have one.
Favorite Disney Channel movie? We're talking about
Yeah,
Disney Channel original
DComs.
movies.
Yeah, DComs.
Oh man. Okay. Are you ready for this one?
Yeah, go ahead.
Alley Cat Strike.
Have not seen that one. Interesting.
What about
Okay.
yours?
This is such a strange one because it's not even on Disney
I don't
Plus.
know yet.
Like I don't know where it is, but the Action Jackson movie, which
Action.
was such a strange movie. There's there's that I only kind of half remember it, but I remember there like being two of him and he was in an alternate universe and there's like a fight in London. It's such a strange movie because that is not what that like show was at all. But I
Oh,
think the movie
Jet Jackson.
Jet Jackson. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't
I'm
mean to
very bad
interrupt
at
you.
some names. I'm very bad at some of the names. No, no, please do because I didn't know. The famous Jet Jackson. That was it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, the famous. Yeah, that movie is just such like a strange departure, and I'm just like,
Hmm.
yeah, I'm 100% here for this. This is great. This is so strange and weird. I love it. Or Future House, Smart House. I
Smart House
watched
was
that a
good.
couple of months ago. I
We're
was
talking
like, this is a
Disney
weird.
Channel original movies.
Mhm.
My wife said Xenon.
Xenon, I watched that a couple of months ago as well.
Xenon's not bad. I think they did 3 of those.
Yep, they did.
Yeah. Um, I would. Oh man. Uh, there's so many. I also really liked. Now I'm blanking.
Phantom of the Megaplex? No?
I didn't think Phantom of the Megaplex was okay. I'll tell you what one of the worst Disney original movies is, and that's
Oh,
that
please
Tower
do.
of Terror movie with Steve Guttenberg.
I'm sorry, what? How
I
dare you? How dare you? What?
I'm
It's
sorry.
great. It's kind of terrible, but it's great kind of terrible.
It is very terrible.
Oh my god, I love it. I remember, yeah. I think an aunt threw that on one time, and I didn't know Tower of Terror was a thing at
Hmm.
Disney. And then I think like I learned that I was like, it's weird that they based a movie off of that, or it's weird that they based a ride off of that movie. I don't know why they would do that, and not understanding that it was like a Twilight Zone thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Uh, I'm sorry. I just made an enemy, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
You
I'm
did.
sorry. Yeah, yeah. Well, you're never coming on the show again,
Yeah,
are you?
you're coming for our Tower of Terror original movie. God,
Bob Iger's sending me a nasty email right
some
now.
people.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna hear
you're
from
you're kicked
Steve
off of
Gutenberg.
all the Disney lists now.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was even
That's
on any of them.
That's the one thing that they look for. They're like, are they okay with Tower of Terror? They're not. Out.
Well, let's see how they feel about that Eddie Murphy Haunted Mansion movie.
Another terrible movie that I kind of love, and it's like weird terribleness.
It's pretty bad.
Oh, it is atrocious.
I just recently watched that movie for the first time a few months back, and I'm like, why am I watching this?
Yeah. Although I am unreasonably excited for the new one.
Oh
Like
yeah.
unreasonably excited for a new one.
I think if they lean into like that whimsical horror, like the Haunted Mansion, they could really do something special with this movie.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that'd be
Um,
great.
I love that Jamie Lee Curtis is in it.
Mhm.
Freaky Friday's not bad.
Oh,
Um,
Freaky Friday is great.
yeah, with Mac Hammond.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um, I would also say the Parent Trap remake was pretty good too. Yeah, with Dennis
Lindsay Lohan.
Quaid.
Oh, I haven't seen that one. Okay.
It's actually surprisingly good.
No, I've heard nothing but good things.
Yeah.
I actually just rewatched Freaky Friday recently because I was thinking about that soundtrack when I was like putting together a Disney playlist, and I was like, oh, I should listen to this whole soundtrack. That soundtrack is a bop. I have been listening to
Mhm.
that like nonstop. That soundtrack rules.
My
There is like crazy artists on that soundtrack. Simple Plan did a song for that soundtrack.
Mhm.
It's great.
I was just given Cheetah Girls.
Okay.
Cheetah Girls. Let me see here. What else? Was there a Leprechaun Disney movie? No, now we were looking it up. Jeez. Oh, Remember the Titans is another good Disney movie.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah.
Luck of
That's
the
one I watched
Irish.
recently.
Yeah, with
The
young
Irish.
Hayden Panettiere
Hmm.
before she became a cheerleader to save the world.
Is there an
Um,
Even Stevens movie?
there was an Even Stevens movie,
Okay.
and I believe they went to Hawaii in that movie.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
I always think it's weird when they're like, we're going to do a movie based on this show. And they're like, we're going to take the cast to a completely different place. We're not going to stay in the place that we've been. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, that's a strange choice.
You know what Disney franchise actually needs to stop now? Because, and I'm gonna say this, the Airbud franchise needs to stop.
No, I just looked up the Airbud franchise recently.
Which
Like,
is,
I don't know why we were talking about it, but I was just like, I was fascinated that there's like the Air Buddies movies, and there's like now there's like a superhero Air
yeah,
Buddies movie. It's so strange. I've not watched any of them, but just based on these posters, I want to see every single one of them straight through in like one night and just like torture myself with these weird movies that shouldn't exist.
yeah. Um, I was also just given High School Musical. I have never watched a single High School Musical movie.
We watched one as a school assembly once because I think like two teachers just didn't show up one day
Mhm.
and they were like, just throw the kids in assembly and we'll skip 2 periods. That'll work.
Here's an hour and a half movie about high school.
Yeah, it was weird.
Super. Sky High is a good one.
Never seen Sky High. Okay.
If you like Kurt Russell, you'll like Sky High.
Do you like Kurt
Also,
Russell?
Bruce Campbell is in Sky High.
Yeah. Isn't
He's
Kurt Russell the one that like it was the last thing that Walt Disney ever wrote down? Or was that somebody else? I think it was Kurt Russell. Like one of the
yeah,
last things he ever wrote down is like he just wrote down an actor's name and they were like, okay, we're gonna put him in stuff, I guess.
Twitches. Yes, that was another one. Uh, yeah, no, Kurt Russell. Yeah, that was the one of the last things Walt Disney ever wrote because he had such a working relationship with him.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because if you look at some of the early like live action Disney movies,
Mm,
Kurt Russell's in quite a few of them.
okay. Yeah.
Even
I,
Sean Connery is in one.
interesting.
Hmm. I think he's in Darby O'Gill, and then Kurt Russell's like in the computer that wore tennis shoes.
Hmm.
Yes, I
Uh,
think. Go ahead.
no, I didn't say anything.
I think we are forgetting the greatest Disney movie of all time. Actually, two of the greatest Disney movies of all time.
Okay. Nervous about this.
We're not talking about that. Um, Flubber
The
and
Robin Williams Flubber. Yeah,
yes,
okay.
and Rocket Man.
I've never seen Rocket Man.
It is the stupidest movie. The Rocketeer's really good too.
Wait, the Rocket. Oh, I thought that's
So
what you were talking about.
so there's the Rocketeer, which is based on like the pulp comics and stuff.
Okay.
Check that out. It's absolutely fantastic. Joe Johnston that did Captain America the First
Yeah.
Avenger did that movie.
Yep. And the Star
Um
Wars effects and everything else that he's done.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Amazing dude.
Joe Johnston is an amazing director.
Yeah.
Rocket Man is a comedy about them going to Mars,
Mhm.
and they have a monkey on the crew. And I believe it's now I got to look up this cast. So imdb.com,
Okay.
because there's two Rocket Man movies, because a lot of people are like, the Elton John thing, Disney did that. Oh, Bicentennial Man's pretty good, yeah. So
Was that
Rocket,
Disney?
yes, Bicentennial Man was actually Disney.
Oh, okay. Well, that's what I saw as a kid. I don't know why I saw it as a kid. Our parents rented it for us, and we were like 6 years old, and we were like, "This is a weirdly boring movie," because it
It,
kind of is when you're a kid.
it is a pretty boring movie, like when you're a kid.
Mm, yeah.
So Rocket Man, in 1997, it starred Harlan Williams in it. William Sadler was in it. Beau Bridges. Just like all like a who's who of like 80s and 90s stars, right? And
Interesting.
oh, it's so stupid, but it's to me, I loved it because of just how funny it was.
Is
So
it
like,
purposefully stupid and funny, or is it
yes,
just okay? So it's like
yes,
Airplane, kind of.
yeah. Essentially,
Okay,
it's Airplane in space, even though they did Airplane in space with the
that
second
sounds
movie.
great.
Yeah, it's really stupid.
Okay.
But it's about like this mission to Mars, and so the entire crew ends up like falling asleep because like they go into hibernation for like the trip to Mars, but there's a malfunction in one of the crew members pods, so he has to stay awake for the entire time. So he starts like just goofing off and like going through like all of like their supplies and stuff. At one point he acts like the Joker by like yelling and laughing and stuff and like drawing smiley faces like on their
Mhm.
hyperbaric pods and everything. It's really, really dumb. Um
So it's
eh,
passengers, but less creepy. Okay, I'm with you.
yeah, yeah, it's so much better than Passengers. Like this,
It's passengers, but not terrifying and
oh
weird.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And no Jennifer Lawrence or Chris Pratt in this, so you don't have to worry about that.
Well, okay.
Yeah,
I'll take one of those.
Scuttlebutt. Yeah, exactly. Um, well, actually, I don't mind Jennifer Lawrence.
No,
I
that's what
don't
I'm
mind
saying. Yeah,
Jennifer
I
Lawrence.
don't mind
Yeah,
J Law at all.
yeah. I have a love hate relationship with Chris Pratt. Um, love him
Sure.
as Star Lord, hate him in almost everything else.
Hmm. Love Parks
Except
and Rec. Big
oh yeah,
down.
I love Parks and Rec.
Yeah. Lo-
I love Parks and Rec. I love him as Star Lord. I loved him in Onward. I actually thought he was really good in Onward.
okay.
Even though I said that I think the movie's just okay, I do love him in that movie, especially towards the end where he. Have you seen Onward?
I have. I have.
Okay, yeah, where he like assumes the fatherly role for
Mhm.
Ian. I think that that's absolutely great.
Yep.
But yeah, so chat. Why don't since you're here, tell us your favorite Disney animated movie, live action movie, and your favorite Pixar movie. Um, Also, let's. I'll ask you this, Jane, because we are knee deep in the MCU, even though I'm kind of getting burnt out on it.
Hmm.
Favorite MCU movie?
Uh, I'm not gonna think about this too hard, but I think it's
Mhm.
probably still Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Winter Soldier, I just love like unconditionally. Every time I watch it, it still holds up like perfectly.
Mhm.
It's great. Um, yeah. How about you?
Uh, I love Winter Soldier, but I love the first Guardians movie so much.
Yeah, that's fair.
Uh, because of just the story it
Mhm.
tells and everything.
Yeah,
But without Winter Soldier, we wouldn't have gotten so many amazing
yeah,
moments that we've
yeah.
gotten.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah. 2014 was a good year for the MCU. We
it
got both of
really
those in
was.
2014.
It really was.
Yeah.
Scuttlebutt says Coco's still at the tops for my favorite Pixar movie. Coco is wonderful.
Hmm.
Coco's really good.
Yeah.
So my least favorite Pixar movie, Good Dinosaur.
I've never seen it, and I don't really have a desire to.
It's fine,
Okay.
but uh, I will say this: Cars 3 is amazing.
Okay.
I love the first Cars movie, and you know, I oh, would I put the Good Dinosaur above Cars 2? Good Dinosaur will go above Cars 2. Uh,
Okay.
I actually like Cars 2 though. It's fun. What are you doing, Pickle? Are you looking at my
Mhm.
computer? Um. Anyway, your least favorite Pixar movie?
I don't know. That's really hard. I haven't seen many that I dislike. I don't know. I'm trying to think. What have I seen that I haven't really been into? I don't know that I have one. God, you're gonna hate me saying this, but of the
Mm,
ones I've seen, like I literally have not seen one that I don't like. So probably the bottom of my list,
mm-hmm.
Ratatouille.
No,
I'm
I
just
don't
not
hate
into
you.
it. Okay, I'm just not into
No,
it. But I know you said it was like your favorite, so I was
yeah,
like, ooh, I feel weird saying this, but no,
no.
yeah, I think so. Although, really quick, I did want to bring
Hmm.
up because you were talking about it. When we talk about MCU, have you seen Ant Man and the Wasp yet, or the Quantumania?
I haven't seen Quantum Mania.
Okay,
We talked about this. I think we're gonna wait for it to come out on Disney Plus.
okay. The
Yeah.
only thing I want to say is, and see it whenever you want to see it.
Hmm.
I fully believe the idea that this film started as a Star Wars script, and
Okay.
then Peyton Reed was just like, okay, they're not gonna let me do a Star Wars movie. I'm doing another Ant-Man movie. Okay, I'm just gonna change the word Jedi to Ant-Man, and I'm gonna change the word Sith to Kang, and we're gonna change this word over here. I'm not gonna say what that word is because it's a kind of a spoiler for how it
Okay.
works. But there's like one object where I go, oh, oh, that's the Star Wars thing. That's what that is. Oh,
Hmm.
this whole movie is a Star Wars movie that they just kind of like reskinned, and we're like, okay, instead
Hmm.
of the Jedi like getting rid of this guy like a Sith,
Hmm.
it's the Avengers got rid of this guy, and now, yeah, it's such a Star Wars movie in every way, and you can just tell
Hmm.
that like he really wanted to make a Star Wars movie, and all the costumes and character designs
Hmm.
and like the way that that world works, it's it really works in that way.
Hmm.
There's even like a secondary like Phasma or Boba Fett like villain in there that like really works. The humor wouldn't work in a Star Wars movie, but it is an MCU movie, so you still have to kind of do the humor. But
Yeah.
it's kind of good in that way. And it's
Okay.
super interesting to see it that way and be like, oh wow, this is like 100% what this is. Yeah.
Uh, Maybe I'll enjoy it more if I go into it thinking of it as a Star Wars
Yeah.
movie.
Because
Um,
I was
yeah,
not a fan of the first two. And like this, I was like, ooh, okay, I get this. I'm behind this.
my problem with the MCU is I'm so burnt out on it right now
There's
because
too
of
much.
just there really is. There
There's
really,
too many
really is.
shows. There's too many shows. There's too many movies. It's
Yeah.
just yeah.
Like
I was really glad when Kevin Feige was like, we're pulling back. We're
yeah.
gonna do less shows and we're gonna pull back. And I'm like, God.
Yeah, like because during the first 10 years of the MCU, I loved waiting for those movies.
Same.
And just like getting that build up because at that point we were getting 1 to 2, then we got 3 a year towards the end of the Infinity Saga, which worked for the end of the Infinity Saga.
Yeah.
um and then like when when they announced all of those projects, I was thinking, all right, yeah, this is really cool. I want to see the direction in which this is going. However, a lot of the projects feel so all over the place
Hmm.
with like what they're trying to do. Like, I get it, you're trying to set up this whole multiverse saga and like you still want to focus on Earth 616, I guess you could say with this. I wouldn't say this is 616. This is more of the Ultimates Earth, honestly. But like you want to focus on this MCU Earth. However, if you want to focus on the multiverse, don't give me a Thunderbolts movie.
Yeah. I mean, I think they just want to do like a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. I also am just like, I think the big issue, honestly, was like 2021
Yeah.
was we got 3 series and we got 4 movies. And do we get 4 series? I don't know. We got like a ton of series. And I think like that was like the time where like a bunch of people were like, we're going to stick with this because it's kind of still like it's pandemic times and we're still like stuck.
Yeah.
And then it was like by 2022, they're like, okay, people really responded and kept watching those. Let's do the same thing. And by
Mhm.
2022, we're like, nope, we're not giving it that much attention. We can't, and
Yeah.
it's too much.
I think 2021 was WandaVision,
Falcon
Falcon
Winter
and the Winter
Soldier,
Soldier,
Loki.
Loki, and What If?
Oh, What If was in there? Oh my god, What If
Yeah.
was my burnout. What If was the one where I went, I am not doing this anymore.
Yeah, What If was not that good.
No.
Um, I mean, there are a couple of episodes I really enjoy,
Mhm.
but for the most part, I could barely get through What If.
Yeah. Also, I like in What If though that there's like one series, like one episode that they very clearly cut out because like those characters show up in the end, and you're like, who the hell are these guys? And
Mhm.
like, not only that, they released Lego sets for that episode that just never came out. Like
Yeah.
there are like Lego sets for that. I'm like, oh man, I kind of want that set because it's a really cool looking Valkyrie. What was
Mhm.
this from? Oh yeah, it wasn't from anything. It just never happened.
So they are doing a Marvel Zombies series, Scarif Scuttlebutt. They're working on
Yeah.
a Marvel Zombies series, which is an offshoot of What If. Um, okay, so speaking of, go ahead.
I bet that gets canceled. I think I think a couple of things are gonna get kind of shuffled away right now.
Yeah,
Like, yeah.
the one I really want to see that we have concept art now because we got it at D23. I want X-Men 97 right now. Because I love the animated X-Men series from the 90s. Uh, but if it gets shelved, I understand why.
Mm.
Yes, so they did a couple of What If zombie figures with the Hasbro Marvel Legends line. I
Mhm.
believe there's Zombie Scarlet Witch and Zombie Iron Man, and they did Zombie Cap too, I believe.
I would believe that because he got a Lego figure as well.
Yeah.
So I would assume that seems like the popular one to do.
And then the Howard the Duck comes with Scott Lang's head, which I think is pretty
That's pretty
funny.
good. That's pretty great.
Um, but the problem with the now Hasbro figures is you don't get the window anymore. It's all straight up cardboard, so you don't even get to see the figure until after you've purchased it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. That doesn't seem great.
no. Um, Anyway, anything else to add on this whole Disney 100th anniversary or the exhibit or anything? I know we kind of went off on a tangent.
No, I don't think so. I think we really covered everything that I can possibly think of.
Yes. So once again, just want to lay this out there. Right now, it's currently going on in Philly until August, and then after August, it will be shifting to Chicago. So if you are unable to make it to Philly, just wait until it hits Chicago. This exhibit is going to be absolutely incredible. I can't wait to take photos and videos next week on this thing, and I can't wait for you all to see it as well. Like, I really hope that people can go and see this. And the tickets weren't that bad. They were what, like 45 a person? Yeah, but that includes tickets to the regular museum.
Mhm.
So yeah, yeah, yeah. So like you could buy tickets for like the exhibit later in the day if you just wanted to do the exhibit and it was like half price or something. But anyway,
Mhm.
um, check it out. That is going to be it. Jane, do you want to plug your socials and stuff so that way people can find you, or if you don't want
Um,
to?
no, my only big social really is Twitter, which is at Lilo and Jane.
Yep.
That's my only real place. And then for the rest of the night, I'm going to be streaming and playing some video games with the Blunder Dome. So that's where I will be
Nice.
for the rest of the night. Yep.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yep.
So that's actually going to be it for us this week. We are going to try to do a live show next week. If not, stay tuned for social media posts and all of that fun stuff. But Jane, thank you once again for joining me. It was cool to have you back on. Don't be a stranger. You're
Super
always
glad to have
welcome.
been here again. Yeah.
Yeah. And then thank you to chat for joining us. So that's it for us. Hope that you have a wonderful week. Until then, may the force be with you. May you always fight for light and life. And remember, at the end of the day, we are all the Republic. See you later. Bye.
Lots of love, y'all.
And